Hello and welcome to another Jack's vlog, and you join me on the banks of Mallard Lake up on the Bluebell complex, and it is absolutely gorgeous up here. It's the first bit of spring weather that we've actually had. Temperatures have gone up to sort of like the mid-teens over the past couple of days, and really it's forecast to stay like that for the next week or so. I've already got all 3 rods out because I have seen fish in the area. About 50 to 60 yards out, there's been quite a bit of activity, fish crashing out, and there have been, the anglers sort of either side of me have been catching mainly during the hours of the morning, but they have seen a lot of activity during the afternoon, so there's always a chance for a bite. And I did think I was away on the first cast, so I just put it down the rest and it just ripped out from the alarm just ripped off and the line started spinning. But I think I just must have just had a savage liner where I'm fishing the line so tight because of the zigs. I want direct contact to that lead, and I thought it was going to be away, but unfortunately not. The swim that I'm fishing at the moment, there's no vehicle access, so it's about 10 to 15 swims along this bank that you have to borrow from the main car park. And let me tell you, it's enough to make you think you've done your exercise for the day. It's not massive, but the amount of gear that I've brought with me today, it's definitely knackered me out for the last hour. But all the rods are out. I'm just going to get set up camp now, get on the kettle, have the first brew of the day. It's looking gorgeous, and then I'll go through the plan for the next 24 hours, maybe even 48 hours. Well, it's been about an hour now since I've had the rods out. Everything's all set up behind me now, lovely jubbly. And even though the shows have sort of slowed down, I'm not seeing as many. I have in the last sort of 10-15 minutes seen maybe 2 or 3 that have showed, and one of them was a really nice common. I mean, it was definitely a 30-pounder, and you're talking only 40 to 50 yards out. And I've had the 3 zigs now sort of in rotation at different distances, sort of recasting them every sort of 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, every 25 minutes. So each rod has had 2 or 3 casts now. So I think it's going to be time to start altering the depths that I'm fishing the zigs at. Currently I've got one that's sat at 3 foot, one at 5 and one at 7. I didn't want to get the marker float out just because I didn't want to disturb the fish that are in the area, so I sort of cast one rod out with a bare lead and just sort of felt it down. It sort of feels like it's around 8 to 10 foot maybe. So what I'm tempted to do is start dropping them down. So the one that's at 3 foot, drop it down to 2, 5, pull it down to 4, 7, pull it down to 6, and go from there. And I am tempted in about an hour's time before it gets dark to try and find a spot and fish 2 rods over tonight if nothing happens on the zig. Still have one out on the zig. Oh, the middle rod's just had a couple of twitches. Still fish 1 out on the zig if nothing's happened. But I do fancy having 2 out over the bait, because talking to the guys in the shop, it does seem that a few of them are coming out over bait, majority over zigs, but the chap just up to the left of me over the last couple of days have had a few over bait, so I think that's definitely worth an option. Well, before I bring the zigs in and start adjusting them, I just wanted to go through the kit that I've brought with me today. Obviously the way Bluebell works, you come up, you can't book in advance, so you come up in and go to the shop. They give you a label to put on your bucket, and that gives you then I think 2 hours to sort of walk around the complex to find the swim that you're going to be fishing. So before I even left this morning, I didn't have a clue which sort of lake I'd be fishing. In the back of my mind, I know Mallard's, this lake that I've ended up, has been doing a few bites, so I thought it's probably going to be likely that I'd be heading here. But I did have a look around Swan Lake and Kingfisher, the 2 lakes that sort of have the big fish in. Swan hasn't really woken up yet since winter, and Kingfisher's starting to. But speaking to the guys in the shop, this was the obvious choice to try and get some action for this month's vlog. But because I didn't have an idea of what lake I'd be fishing, I wanted to bring the rods that was going to allow me to fish the sort of maximum that I could. Like, now this is quite a decent sized lake, so I've brought with me the 13-foot rods just on the eventuality that I might end up in a swim where I needed to chuck that sort of range. So I've got the 13-foot Infinity X45 rods, and that's the 3 3/4 pound test. For plenty of backbone to allow me to get out the distance I potentially might have needed to. And I've paired them up with the Tournament Bezier 45 SCW QD, and I'm just on £15 direct through at the moment, not using a leader, just gone £15 direct through because like I said, I didn't know what I was going to be coming up against, and I know a couple of lakes are pretty weedy even at this time of the year. There's still a lot of dead weed out, so I wanted to make sure that I had the kit to match the situation. So let's reel these rods in and get the zigs changed. So just a quick little tip for those of you that fish with zigs or thinking about giving them a go, to mark them out. If you've already got them made up like I have, I'll make them up over depth. But a quick little tip that I've learned from a couple of our consultants, Jack and Lewis, is if you've got a set of distance sticks, is to actually put some markers on them. So for every 3, for example here, that 3 is a foot, 6 is 2 foot. So all I need to do is hook the zig onto the tape like that, and then measure it out. So I want this one to be a 4 foot zig, so all I need to do is measure that up to 12 to know that's going to be 4 foot. And what I'll do is I'll probably cut that up to 13, and then that'll give me a bit of excess to loop it over, and hey presto, that's a 4 foot zig. And it's also a good way of measuring the zig. If you say, for example, you've just caught on it, all you need to do is put it down on the distance sticks. You know exactly where you then need to lower the rest of your zigs, or make the rest of your zigs to that depth, and then you know that you're going to be fishing on the same sort of level that the carp are holding at. Now all 3 rods are out in the lake. Let's take a look at the other fishing that I've been up to this month. Today you join me back down at Cokin Farm, and today I'm on Clover Lake. A bit more of a specimen lake than the one I was on last time, which was long. This one's got a good head of 30 pounders in, and also a nice head of 20 pounders as well. So plenty of good fish to go at. The main aim for today is actually to test out 2 new reel samples that I've got on the 2 rods there just behind me. Not going to be able to show you those in any sort of detail. And then my 3rd rod there, which is just my normal setup, I've got out as well, hopefully to bag a fish. First of all, what I did was cast a bare lead over to that far margin. I've fished this swim before and I've had some good carp out of it, so I know roughly where a good area is, and that's what I did with the left hand rod. Cast over the far margin, walked round, dropped it in the margin, went back round, tightened it up, wrapped it up, and that's going to be the spot for today. Once I cast out the bait, I also went round with a handful of live system CC Moore 10 millers and just dropped them in the area as well. The other 2 rods I'm going to have roving about the swim. They've been out for about half an hour now, so without further ado, I am going to stop waffling, bring them in, rebait them, and then chuck them back out and hopefully locate some fish. So this is what I've got on my left hand rod that I've got out sort of in open water that I'm going to be roving about. A Northern Special white wafter, and that's done me well on this lake before, just roving around single hook baits when I come and did a session just after Christmas this year. And then on the other 2, my all-time favourite, the Live System 15mm wafters, and I've had so many carp on this complex on those with just a PVA mash. You can see I've got a few prep there in the EVA pouch to make sure when we have had the showers come in just as I arrived that they're not going to be damaged, and attaching one of those to each particular hook bait and then casting it out onto the swim just out there. So hopefully that's going to bring us a fish at some point today. Well, exactly like I did on my last vlog over on Long Lake, I'm going to be catapulting in single 15mm Live System boilies just over the top of each of the rods, and hopefully that noise in the swim will just attract a few fish down onto the deck and hopefully get them feeding. Finally we're in. Just coming up to about midday, and I was just decided that I was going to reposition this rod just in case anything sort of wasn't lying too well. I know there's a load of reeds over there and they do sort of a lot of debris in the water, so I thought I'd give it a rechuck. but this time I thought I'd cast it over to the far bank and then I'll just place it by hand. And within 5 minutes of doing that, it's ripped off. There he comes. Yes. Lovely jubbly. Well, there we go, what a way to start. Just under the 20 pound mark, 19.5 pounds of chunky Cokin Farm mirror carp. That right hand margin doing the job, as I thought that would probably be our best chance of a bite, having caught a few from there in previous sessions, and going over there to place the bait by hand has certainly paid off. Just show you the other side and then we'll slip her back. There we go, absolutely immaculate. Let's get her back. Lovely jubbly. Well, the rig's attached. Obviously the problem with it just being myself is that I've got to try and manoeuvre this little bit of slack line here. So what I've done is I've just gone about quarter of a rod length past where I was getting it in, just on this bank, just so the lead ends up landing on the bank, and then I'm just gonna hopefully just chuck this in and hopefully not get the slack line caught up in these reeds. It's a shame that there's no one else here to give me a hand with this, but that looks like it went down perfect. Got a few freebies I'll chuck in. Lovely jubbly. Well, that absolutely ripped off. This one I've just had sort of out in mid-water in between the peg and the island. This one's definitely kiting up left-hand channel here. I'm just getting a liner on my middle of the rod as well. And I've sort of been casting this in between me and the island at different sort of distances to see if I could locate any fish, and finally out of nowhere it's absolutely ripped off. Just changed it over to a live system wafter as opposed to the white hook bait, and it must have been about out there about 15 minutes. I haven't seen it yet, don't know sort of what size the fish is. It doesn't feel like a bad one. There's some really good fish in here. I was speaking to the bailiff about an hour ago and he was saying there's, you know, a good head of 30s and then a really good head of fish at sort of that 25 plus mark. So there's some really good fish to be had here. Here he comes. There we go. Not a textbook netting by any means, but that's enough of fish on the bank. Wow, what about that for a lovely scaly fish? Mid-double, probably around the 15-16 pound mark. But what a fish that is. Look at the scales on that. You know, welcome reward. Just switched all the rods over to live system 15mm wafters. In the two that I've had roving about the swim, one of them's finally paid off. The one I've had going in between the islands at different distances, been picking up a few liners, so brought it in a bit closer. 10 minutes later and it was away. I'll show you the other side quickly. Wow, and there's the other side. What a stunning fish that is. It's important also to mention that these fish are still absolutely freezing. I know we're coming into spring now, but that water temperature is still pretty cold. This one still had a couple of leeches on it, so they're only just starting to sort of move about on this lake. But what a result. Let's slip her back. What a stunning little fish that is. Look at the scales on that. Really lovely colours on the tail as well, where it goes into that red sort of at the bottom there. What a fish. That's going to be a right little chunk in a few years. Well, that is going to be that for today's session. I've got done exactly what I needed to get done. Testing out those reels and getting some images of those in other bits and pieces in the current product range, and also managed to catch a couple of carp as well to go with it. So a right result for a little day session, and hopefully I'll be back out on the bank sometime again soon. Well, today you joined me at my syndicate. I decided to rejoin in the end. I haven't really had the chance to get my teeth stuck into it, and I'm hoping that this spring, summer, and sort of autumn, I'm really going to get my teeth into it. You see it just going down there behind me. It's a really sort of intimate little venue with there's some good carp in there. I think they go up to sort of mid-30s, and there's even one that went up to just under 40 a few years back, and that hasn't been seen for a while. So there could even be a 40-pounder in here. So a lot of fish to go at, and some good ones as well. The main aim of today, I'm here for probably only 4 or 5 hours today. I've got a new item that's going to come out later in this year to the fish care range, which I'm here to photograph. And I've got with me my baiting pouch. I have got a couple of rods in the car. I'm going to sort of pack really light. I've got the ruckle with me. I'm just going to sling that on the back in sort of what kit I can carry with my bare hands, along with the camera kit equipment and the new fish care item. So that's the plan. Photograph that, the main priority, and hopefully get the rods out, and we can hopefully put a fish on the bank. But if not, it's more about get back in tune with the venue, see if I can sort of speak to the anglers that are fishing it quite regularly at the moment. There's quite a few on, so hopefully we can go and speak to them in a little while as well, see what's been happening, see what's been coming out, and hopefully might be able to snag ourselves one as well. Well, it's just disappeared, but just about there was a mid-20 common just nestling itself on the surface. Fortunately, the nearest I can get to fish that is the swim just down there, which is still about 20 yards away from where the fish is shown. But if there's one in the area, that usually means that there's a few more. So I'm going to go back to the van, get the kit, get a rod set up, and then we'll crack on. Well, I've just got one rod out, just into the margin, just on the edge of these reeds here. As I was just walking around, I just got around the second corner, which is just here to my left, and there was 2 carp, one just sitting there in the reeds, and one sort of patrolling up and down this reed margin here. Now you can't actually fish, there's no swim here, and you can't actually access it because of the reeds sticking out there and the reeds sticking out here. So this is sort of the closest I can get to positioning a bait and where I've seen those fish. Now when I got in here, I have seen one cruise from right to left back down into that corner, so I've put a little bit of bait, some Pacific tuna, just a bit of crumb, and a few whole ones just down in that margin, just on the off chance. I'm going to give it an hour or so because I think it's worth it, because they're definitely moving around here, and I think it's definitely going to be worth an hour in this area. So hopefully leave the rod there on the floor, and hopefully that clutch starts spinning soon. Well, in last month's vlog, we actually ran a giveaway for one lucky winner to win one of the Infinity System low-level carryalls. And all you had to do to enter was, on the last vlog, is to write a comment on when your favourite time of the year was to go carp fishing and why it was your favourite time of the year. And we would select one lucky winner to receive one of the Infinity System low-level carryalls. And the comment that we liked the most was from Lee Nicholas. I'll put the comment up on screen now. So thank you very much for entering the competition, and congratulations on winning the Infinity System low-level carryall. All you need to do is just drop us a message on Daiwa Carp Instagram, direct message, or myself, Jack Wheeler Fishing, and we will get your prize sent out to you. And this month we have got another giveaway, so I'll run through that in just a moment. So in this month's giveaway, we will be giving away one of these to one lucky winner, the Crosscast landing net and handle combo, and it will be a 2-piece edition. This is my one I've got here, but you will be receiving a brand new one. Let me just flip the camera around and I'll let you know how you can enter. So how can you enter this giveaway? All you need to do is be subscribed to the Daiwa Carp YouTube channel, like this video, and let us know in the comments below what is your favourite style of fishing and why. So for example, floater fishing, fishing in the margins, 3 rods on the spot. Let us know what's your favourite style, and then give us a reason why that's your favourite style of fishing. And we'll pick out one lucky winner. Our favourite comment will win, and the winner will be revealed in the next episode of the vlog. And just to mention, this giveaway is only available to enter for the people that live in the UK and mainland Europe. Let us know in the comments below what your favourite style of fishing is and why. I've just spent about 15-20 minutes with the marker rod, just seeing if I could find a nice area out there just to put a bit of bait on for tonight. And about 13 and a half, yeah, just under 14 wraps, I found a nice gravel bar. It seems to be quite a wide bar, 6 to 7 foot wide, and maybe 5 or 6 foot in sort of it's basically a nice patch, and then it goes into weeds and then some softer silt clay just further out. So I'm actually going to put some bait on top of that. It seems as good a place as any from what I could find. It's only going to be just under 14 wraps out, so nice comfortable casting distance. And I've just noticed some fish starting to show a little bit further beyond. I did put the marker float out as well on the spot that I'm going to be fishing it for at just under 14 wraps, and it's actually about 7 foot in depth. So I was pretty much a good estimate. I'd said 8 to 10 foot from where I cast out initially, and I didn't want to put the marker float up earlier when I was on top of fish. But what I am thinking is I'm going to put 2 rods over that spot on bait overnight, and I'm actually going to cast one zig that's, well, going up to probably 100 yards out maybe. Put that on a zig of around 10-11 foot, because it does get a lot deeper out into that middle part of the lake. So now I know it is deeper out there, I'm going to stick a longer zig on, because there's a lot of fish showing, and so far nothing has happened on those sort of lower zigs. So I think that would be my next step, to sort of experiment with those zigs. But without further ado, before I lose the line, I'm going to get some bait out on that spot. So a few days ago I actually prepped up this live system in the back garden, soaked it with just a sort of jug full of water, and then I blended that in, mixed it in with the Amino 365 blend, and I've had them soaking in there for, it's probably been 5 or 6 days now. And they've gone a really nice washed out colour, absorbed all that lovely flavour inside. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drain out some of this, just drain it out into the lake. I don't want all of that liquid in there. Should be enough. So the sort of mix that I'm going to put out, I'm going to got a 15mm live system in there, and I'm going to put in pellet oil, and I've got a jar of intense oily hemp here already pre-cooked, nice and handy. I'm going to put probably half of that in, and then I'm going to put in also a kilo of sweet corn. I'm not going to pull it all out. Probably going to put 10 spoms over that spot and see how that goes throughout the night or this evening, and in the morning I might top it up depending on if we've had any action. So I'm just going to mix this all up and then get the bait out. More hemp. It's perfect. Now for the corn. That should be about plenty. Probably half a kilo gone in there. And not any more than that to start with. So I'll give that a good mix up and get it out in the lake. Here we go, time to get the mix out. There's two rigs that are going to go out over the bait. I've got my typical German rig there with a CC Moore live system wafter in a little PVA mash bag of pellets. And then on the other one, I've gone for a Ronnie rig and I've got two fake pop-up corn there. It's just going to set up nice, just popped up off the bottom. Low line pop-up with a PVA mesh bag of pellets as well. And that's more just for an anti-tangle property while casting. Also a little bit of bait around the hook bait. So without further ado, let's bring two of those rods in. I've attracted every single bird on the pond and let's get the bait out. Well, we're just starting to lose the light now. All three rods are out, perfect. My left and my middle rod out on the baited area, as I've said, and my right hand rod I've just whacked out. It's probably around 26, 27 wraps out on a 9-foot zig there, and there have been fish showing out in the middle. I think the pressure from this afternoon fishing has moved the fish off. I'm hoping they're going to come back in. You know, as the sun gets up tomorrow, it's meant to be even hotter tomorrow. It's meant to go down cold again tonight, hotter tomorrow. I think they're going to be back in this bay. The conditions are pretty much the same as today in terms of the wind direction and the wind speed. It's just going to be a little bit warmer. So I think they're going to be back in this bay area. I'm hoping we might get an early morning bite, but I think it's going to be experimenting with the zigs tomorrow morning, trying to find which depth they're sort of happy at and which sort of depth they're sitting at, because there was definitely fish out in front of me here. But, you know, the chaps either side of me, they haven't caught anything since I've been here. So whether they just, you know, not on the feed at the minute, I know they're on bait to the left of me, and on the right of me they're on bait as well with the zig out, but they haven't had anything I think since yesterday evening. So you know, it has gone a bit quiet in the area, but I've got Mexican for dinner. It's time to refuel the batteries and recharge the batteries for tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be woken up during the night with an absolute screamer. Well, last night passed rather uneventfully. It was a quiet night in terms of the fish, and I've sort of had a feeling just as it got dark that was going to be the case. I started to see the fish a lot further out, and I felt that they were probably going to stay there during the night. I didn't have a feeling they were going to come in, and you know, my sort of prediction was confirmed this morning. I opened up the bivvy door just on first light and sort of watched the water, and every fish that I've seen so far has been in that half of the lake on that far margin. I say it passed rather uneventfully. I mean, it was bloody loud last night. Those ducks were giving it a right good rogering down in the reeds to my right and to the left, and also up on the bank as well. And then I had the swans come through and sort of take out my lines. It was a bit of a nightmare in terms of the bird life last night. In terms of the plan this morning, I mean, it's very, very busy here on the lake at the minute. It's stitched up. I mean, there's not a swim free on the far margin, and where sort of bailiff said the majority of the fish have been coming out down towards the left hand side of me, that's stitched up as well. There's not a swim free, so it's a very, very busy Mallard Lake at the moment, and I'm still in two minds whether I'm going to stay the other night. It really depends on what happens sort of this morning going into the afternoon, whether I'm going to put another 24 hours on the ticket. At the moment, if it stays like it is, then I'll probably head on, and because I don't think that anything's really sort of going to happen unless it happens this morning and sort of this afternoon. I don't feel the conditions are meant to be exactly the same for the next 4 or 5 days in terms of the temperature, in terms of the wind direction. It's a northeasterly, it's really high pressure, which is why zigs I felt were going to be the best bet on this session. But you know, we'll see how the morning goes and then we'll make a decision from there.
Time for a brew.
Well, it's a bit of last chance saloon now. I've got a couple of hours before I'm going to head off, and in the last sort of 10 minutes or so there's been a number of carp just there in the reeds where it's really shallow. So I've got 2 out there on zigs, 1 on 10, 1 on 9 foot, out in the middle of the pond out there just below the surface. I did put the marker float up and just check the depth before I set them up, because I wanted to put them in the last couple of feet just under the surface, because the shows that I have been seeing more been like rolls, as opposed to what you'd expect when the carp are feeding off the bottom and coming up and crashing, clearing those gills. It's more been rolls, as if they're in this sort of upper area of the water column. So but because I've seen those shows just so, I've got this rod here. I've just changed over to a helicopter setup with a Ronnie rig and a yellow NS1 pop-up, just because it does look very silty. I mean, you can see probably 30 yards out is really shallow, and I'd imagine it's probably 3 foot deep maybe where I'm fishing at the minute. It wasn't much of a drop, it was quite sort of soft, and I've got it sort of on a semi-slack line just going out there, and that's sort of my last chance really. Well, I've seen the fish in the area, I know they're there. Hopefully it rips off. Well, we really are on last knockings now. Probably got 30 minutes left. I've just changed over the rod that I've had just out past those reeds from a pop-up to a zig at about 2 foot. I think it's around 3 foot in depth where I'm fishing. There's still been a few fish crashing around there, so hopefully I can get one before we go. But I'm not going to stay the extra 24 hours. I haven't really sort of kicked off as I'd hoped. If I'd had one in the last sort of few hours, then I might have rethink and would have stayed enough a night, but I don't think there's going to be a hit of fish, and it's just going to be a case of nicking a fish, so not really for me worth staying the extra time. But you never know what happens in the next 20 minutes. Well, I'm into something. Trying to get around those reeds. Gonna have to go in. Oh no, it's just come off. Oh no. After all that time waiting for a bite, it's just come off. Would you believe it? I don't believe it. I've had another take. Just trying to take me straight round the reeds again. Hopefully we try and divert him back. First bit of action, apart from that lost fish that we've had 20 minutes ago. Definitely try and take me around these reeds. Everyone try and turn him. It's just off the end of these reeds here. I'm trying to divert him back round. I think he's coming. Let's make it back to the net now. So I'm a little bit quiet. I've been waiting a long time for this bite to come. Woken up now. Oh, it's gone on a massive run. It's definitely tangled my upper lines now. It's actually kiting over to the fella in my right hand swim. Gonna have to make a dart back for the net. He's definitely tangled up my upper two rods, that's for sure. That's better. That's better. That's right, mate, it's no worries. Yeah. It's not a bad one, to be fair. Just could have done with the lead discharging, but in she goes. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. Yeah. That is a very good fish. Oh. Let's have a look. Not, oh, that's a 30, isn't it? Get in. Well, that just goes to show how a session can change. I just lost a fish and I was debating. I had 20 minutes, the same rods, 2 foot zig, it's absolutely ripped off, and I think that's got to be a 30 pounder, if not a mid 30, every day of the week. Get in. 34. I'll take that. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Well, the hard work has definitely paid off. £34.10 of Mallard Lake mirror carp. I just lost one about 10 minutes ago and I was absolutely gutted. I had about half an hour of the rods being out before I decided that I was going to knock it on the head for the 24-hour session, and then this one is absolutely melted off on the same rod. There's something special when you ain't got the rods on the alarm and the clutch just starts ticking away. What a fish. Come on. I'll just show you the other side. What a fish that is. Come on. Well, I'm back at the van now, and that barrow back for the last 20 minutes has been intense. This heat is just grueling. This session has been the prime example of why that hard work can pay off. I've been ringing the changes over the past 24 hours trying to catch the fish. I knew there was fish on me, especially during those daylight hours, not so much overnight. I think they moved off to the upper end of the lake where the other chaps were catching further down, but that was stitched up. There's no chance of me getting on there. And just changing those depths of the zig over the last sort of couple of hours, I went out on a limb of putting out a real short zig, a 2 foot zig, even though it's shallow water where I was seeing the fish, put one out at 2 foot, and within 20 minutes it had already paid off. Had that run, unfortunately lost it, the first one, but then 10-15 minutes later it was away again, and a £34.10 mirror. I certainly wasn't expecting that. I knew there was some good fish showing in the area, but I certainly wasn't expecting to bag one of those. A mid 30, absolutely over the moon, and what a result on this latest episode of Jack's vlog. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and let us know what your thoughts were in the comments, and until the next time, I will catch you later.